Okay, this video is about the LightWave RF system, sockets such as this, and we've been living with this system for around about 3 or more years, and I've gone out and bought some more kit, as you can see here, and I thought probably about time now with the Gadget channel up and running, and it is real life gadget reviews after all. I've had it for such a substantial amount of time that it's probably a good time to run you through it if you're thinking about getting it and if it can actually be useful to you. So you need some components. If you haven't researched this at all, it can get really costly, but it is quite cheap in comparison to other systems on the market. If you buy new builds and builders put these sorts of things in, home automation systems in, this is substantially cheaper and it can actually be fitted yourself as long as you know how to use a screwdriver and have got some sort of vague understanding of how a light switch works, which is probably one of the most basic things in the electrical circuit, a switch. So anyway, let me run you through now in some very quick succession the things you will need. Okay, you will need a link station. This one's covered in dust and it's been sat here for, let's say, 3 or more years. This is the old style. They still sell it actually, but a brand new one's come out. It's just a bit more compact, doesn't seem to have really any more advantages apart from it's smaller, so it can fit in different places. Of course you need an internet connection, and there's the router, the network cable which goes into the router, plugged in the back, and a power cable that plugs into. It doesn't run on batteries or anything like that, it's plugged into the mains. This stays on the whole time. You've got various switches around, things like that. But this is essentially the brains. It goes to here, and this is connected to the internet. And that is a very basic thing you need. Once you've got this, which is I think is about £100, something like that. Once you've got that, you could then get a single light unit, and you could control that light through the application, and it all passes through that. What we've got in our living room is a double unit. So we've got lights behind the sofa, which I think is those ones. Yep, lights behind the sofa. And we got over the fire lights, so that's those ones there. So basically, and then if you see over there, we've got double unit which controls, it used to be, if I get it right, that used to be all the TV and everything, and this used to be the Xbox, so we could remotely turn off the Xbox or put it on a timer or whatever you wanted and independently control. Now there's all the stuff that's in there is all controlled, skybox and everything on both those, so they're always switched on. But we've got the lights up there which are controlled and the lights behind, so if you're watching TV we generally will turn those off and have the slightly more pleasant, comfortable lights on. Now what you can do, let's turn these back on. Those are at 100%. So what's brilliant about this switch, it is expensive, but as I say, cheap in comparison to the alternatives. We've got a brushed stainless steel look, which is quite nice. You can control it via the app, so you can say I want to dim these lights, so it turns it into a dimmer as well as a normal light switch. You can also do it manually by pressing and holding. So if I press and hold this light now, this switch at the bottom, you can dim them down to 5% is the lowest they go. Well, actually manually it'll go all the way off. On the apps 5% is the lowest you go, and you can press and hold and then they go back up. So press and hold the on button all the way up and it goes at 100%. Press and hold the off button and it'll dim them down. And you can do that with all of them. So it turns everything into a dimmable product. Some bulbs aren't designed to be dimmed, of course. But so these are your halogen bulbs, top and bottom, split bulbs. Those haven't gone at all. We've had no problems with those in the last 3 or 4 years. These filament ones up here, no issues with those at all. They've all been dimmed multiple times over a period of years. So we've had no issues at all, and they're not designed to be dimmable. So that's the light switch. You've got sockets down here. This controls a side light, which is that light there, and a charger, and it's the reading lamp actually we got on. These are obviously not light switches, but with the light attached to it, you can then control this socket. Set up as a socket, it isn't dimmable, so you can't dim that light, but you can turn it on and off. So that's what we use that for. So you can be sat in the sofa and then go, oh pants, I haven't turned this on, and you just turn it on with the app, boom. It just makes life a bit more comfortable not getting up and down and doing all that sort of business. The other thing you can do is set moods. So we've got a mood set up this room for specifically watching a film. You set the lights exactly how you want, so you could dim the back lights 50%, you could dim these down to 30%, whatever's comfortable. You can set a light over there and you can choose what you want that to be on. You can do everything you want, and you press a single button and multiple things are adjusted instantaneously for that exact setting. The other thing you can do, of course, is get these to set on timers. So if you're away on holiday for a week, you can have a plethora of combinations, and you can set these up to make it look like you're still living here, even to the extent, of course, where you can turn the TV on, get everything to come on and do whatever you want autonomously. And you can control that also manually, remotely. So it doesn't have to be set on a timer and you leave, that's it. You can then turn off that timer anywhere in the world, as long as you've got an internet connection. And this place has got an internet connection still. You can still control it remotely. So that's that run through. Now in our bedroom, we got one of these. It's a single light. And the beauty of these is this will run these two energy saving bulbs up here. But coincidentally, we've only just fitted that light switch. These bulbs are in fact LightWave RF bulbs. Oh, if I can actually get it out for you to have a look. These, you do not have to have a light switch to control these. These are, they've got the RF in them. So all you need is the link system and one of these. And you don't even need to change your light switch. You can simply unscrew a bulb and screw one of theirs in, and then you've got an autonomous system again for lighting. So that bulb can be controlled itself. You can connect this bulb through the app in the same way as you connect that bulb through the app. So you could have, rather than with the light switch, so if I turn them on now, both come on, I could actually set it up so not to be controlled by the light switch, but to control bulbs individually. But if you're going to do that, when we used to have the manual switch on here, if the system was off, you couldn't turn the bulbs on. That sounds stupid, but it's not particularly. You would turn the light system on with a manual switch, then you would turn the bulbs on and off. So when you wanted this, and then you don't have to ever turn this on ever again, the manual switch. You just turn the bulbs on when the light system's on. You then turn the bulbs off, leaving the switch on. So that way, therefore, moving forward, you can always control it then. They'll always be on, but you can switch them off with the application, if that makes sense to you guys. Now, in the kitchen, we've actually got a 3 switch. These are not used at all. There's no wiring in them. It's just that there was a 3 switch here before it was replaced. This is the outside light, which is a very useful one. That puts the outside light on. Again, that can be controlled remotely. So if you're coming home, you know you're gonna be home in 10 minutes, you can turn it on. So you can see what you're doing in winter. It gets dark early, and this is the main kitchen light. Over the other side of the kitchen is the slave to that, and that just does the same thing. So it turns the main kitchen lights on. That's what that side controls, basically. Now, as you just saw with the kitchen, it can get fairly complicated. If I left that other switch as a manual switch, you can actually switch off the other side off, so there's no power going to it, which means you then can't remotely control it. So in a lot of instances, you'll be forced to actually, if you want your full system to be automated and kind of foolproof, you don't accidentally turn off a manual switch, killing or overriding the others. You then have to spend the money on upgrading all your switches in one room to make sure that you're not accidentally turning off the automation, or just turning off the RF, LightWave RF socket switches or whatever. That's what I had to do there in that instance. You know, went and got the other light switches, and then thought, you found yourself walking in from the living room and just using that light switch instead, and you're actually turning off the other side. So won't always be the case because wiring can be different, but in our case it was turning off those, so we had to go and buy that switch. So we ended up doing all the downstairs, basically, almost all the sockets, everything. Yeah, so I mean, this is a bit of a drag for you guys listening through this, but hopefully it's of some interest, some use to you. So we've used the system now for 3.5 years-ish, say, approximately. It has been brilliant. It's a brilliant system. You get really used to it, and you'd miss it if it wasn't there, kind of thing. It's obviously not a necessity, but it makes a huge difference if you've got a lap tray and you're sat down watching a movie. It's all piled up. It's a great night. You've been waiting a month to have that movie night. You're all sat down there and then the lights are on. You just go, boom, turn them off, whatever you want to do. It's really easy rather than putting all the tray down, getting someone to hold it, getting up, turning them off. Not a major problem, but it's just a lot easier if you're into the technology side of things. So there was that. We did have issues with 3 of the sockets. And those were returned to LightwaveRF and they swapped them out free of charge, and since then we've had no issues. The problems we had with them was clicking on and off. You hear this and it was going on off, on off, on off, on off, on off, off, and that happened after about 6 months we had it installed. Yeah, so that wasn't actually a major issue. They didn't all go at the same time. It was one after another, weeks apart, and they all got swapped out and they have been faultless ever since. One thing I would say, the support seems to have completely gone downhill. I've recently, with these latest purchases, as you will see in the upcoming clips, got a few problems and not understanding, and some stuff isn't clear, and I've had no response from support at all. So I've given up with that and had to try and find it out myself, which isn't ideal. I mean, I've been using the system for a long time. I've got a general understanding how it works, and even some of the stuff, heater valves was complicated to put in. Couldn't link it up, but I'll run you through that later anyway. I've found a solution to it after some time. Yeah, and the locking mechanism, but you'll see that in the next clip, so I won't go into that too much. You can also get an energy monitor, which is quite cool. So that goes, it's battery operated and it lasts months on that battery, and that goes in by a meter. It's the outside of our house, so it goes in the electrical box, and it wraps around the incoming cable into the house. So it's after the, I think it's after the meter you put it, wrap it around. It might be before the meter. No, it's after the meter, I think. And that monitors and gives you a heads up on your phone, obviously again from anywhere in the world, of how much energy you're consuming and how much it's costing you. You have to enter the your rate manually, obviously, because it doesn't know what you're being charged on your bill per unit. So you enter all that in and it calculates it all for you and shows you live what you're consuming, which is quite helpful. On the LightwaveRF link station, the box that you need to buy before you can use any of their equipment, that box also gives you a readout, so you don't need that energy meter if you just want to have a quick glance and see what you're using. It is displayed on that, which is great. So that gives you a heads up. The only thing it's missing, thinking of this pinging away, is an app to go on here. That would be brilliant on the watch, even less hassle. I use Apple TV, and this has got a remote for the Apple TV, and my phone can be wherever it likes to be in my house, where I leave it accidentally, can't remember where it is, and I can just use my Apple Watch. So it needs that. If that would finish it off quite nicely. Yep, well, let me run you through now installing the single light switch, which is the latest thing, which is that one you can see behind me, just there. That is a light switch I go and install now. Obviously all the stuff I've installed and have had no issues with. Pairing it is really, really easy. There's no point even running through how to pair it. It's just you press and hold both the buttons up and down and it'll go into pairing mode. So it's really easily, it's not even worth spending time on it. But yeah, so I bought this stuff 3.5 years on the other day, and I went ahead and installed it, and that's where we are with this video. Bye. Right, so got the LightWave dimmer switch, one gang. There's a model number on there, LW400SS. Got that installed. It's on here. Got a few problems with it. The lock part of it doesn't work. You should be able to turn this off and then lock it, and it'll keep it off. And you can see it's flashing there. That should stop any manual overriding. So you turn it off with the app. You can turn it back on with the app. But then if you try and turn it on manually, you shouldn't be able to do that. And it's acting funny because it's flashing 2 orange lights. Then it goes blue, and then you can turn it off again. I can also put it onto full lock. Nope. Go to full lock. That should also, it flashes then, as you can see. Can you see that on there? Yeah. So you can see it full lock, but if you press it still works. Okay, that's one thing. Let's turn it off the lock, which isn't actually working. But we'll turn it off, unlocking. There we go. So that's unlock. And we turn it on. One thing that's interesting, is this energy saving bulb here doesn't seem to be compatible. If I turn this off first, as you can see, the bulb's working fine. This is going to be quite hot now, I think. But even so, let's give it a quick twist. Yow, yow, yow. And we put this one in. It acts all funny. So if I now turn that on, I can turn it on with the app, which is quite helpful. Turn it on, it flickers. Like that. I installed one downstairs, and it did the same thing, but in reverse. When it was off, it flickered. When it was off, it was flickering. But with this one, it flickers when it's on. And the only way I've learned to get around that is to remove it, the energy saving bulb, and fit a old-fashioned bulb. Wow, which is really hot still. One of the disadvantages with the old style bulbs, get really, really hot. And it solves that problem. So don't seem to be compatible with these. I'm not sure if it's because these aren't dimmable, but that was on 100% brightness. As you can probably see from the app, it's 100% it's on. So I could put it on 49%, but it was on 100% and it still doesn't work like it. So don't know. Very, very strange. There you go. That's the, what model number did I say? That's the LW400SS. We got these all over the house. This is the one I'm having a problem with, and the one downstairs in my office, which I fitted. Right, got the app open, got the light installed. It's installed in the kids' bedroom, so you can lock the light, which is the whole reason of buying it. But so it's in that, it's off now. I can turn it on manually. I can turn it off. I can turn it on with the app, and I can turn it off with the app. If I slide back and say lock, it flashes like that, and then but then I can just turn it on. It does that, flashes like that, and it just goes on, and then I can turn it off. I can turn it back on again. So then if I unlock it from the app and then turn it off and then go to full lock, it flashes again like that, and then I just turn it on and turn it off. You can do whatever you like, really, which is kind of goes against every reason of buying them. So any help would be appreciated. Right, here we are. The device is locked again. It's pitch black, obviously, and I can turn it on, and it does the flash as if it is locked, and then there's the blue light to say it's on. But an interesting fact, looking on the internet, it works the other way around. If you lock the light on, you can't turn it off, which is a bit crazy. But there we go. Let me show you that now. Okay, there we go. So I've now locked, turned it, stop recording to use the app. There we go. Can't turn it off because it goes, nope, you cannot do that. So you do it again. Nope, cannot do that. Won't turn off. That's brilliant. It's perfect. Cannot turn it off. I want that in reverse. I've got a last final ditch attempt before contacting support. I'm actually gonna swap the two cables over, but I think that's going to make no difference whatsoever. It's just to try it for the sake of it. Okay, the cables have been swapped round. Let's just try and turn it on. Oh, and there you go. It's flashing like you shouldn't be able to do it, but quite obviously the light is on. So, dear, what a almost useless feature unless you want your lights permanently on and you don't want people to switch them off. If you want small children not to be able to turn the lights on at 6 AM in the morning, this feature currently, although promising, doesn't actually work. I've just had a completely crazy idea. How about put the light on, dim it by 100% and then lock it? Let's try that. Okay, that's an interesting one. So it kind of works. The light is dimmable only to 5%. Now there's another bug, a slight bug, because if you then click on the sectional swipe to see the lock, unlock, and you've also got a dimmer scroll bar, and you can actually then go past the 5% and bring it to 0. And actually on the link station that it all links up to, it actually displays 0% when you put it on that, but that is 0%, which quite clearly isn't 0%. It's the 5% that you can only, the minimum amount you can go to within the actual normal dimmer. In this stage you still can't turn it off because it's locked on, but you can't put it on 0 on and on position. So that little workaround doesn't work, so I suppose I'll have to contact LightwaveRF and ask them when are they going to fix this. Okay, we've got a resolution to, or an understanding of now, of the flickering issue in the previous clips. This is probably about a week later. I've slotted this in here. It seems to be, looking through the net, it seems to be low resistant lights. So if you've got a normal one, got a filament in it, and it's a good wattage, then you don't get the flicker issue. If it's low resistance, so it's like a 12 watt but an equivalent of a 40 watt, like an eco bulb like I was showing you, it won't work. If it's a single light system, so the bedroom was a single light system, so you switch it on. In my office it's got one light in it, so it doesn't work with the eco bulbs. If I had two bulbs in there, it would work fine. Because we've had it in the living room for a year, well, 3-4 years, no issues at all. Never come across this issue before, and until I've tried to fit it to the two children's bedrooms and my office. I've had the problem with both, and I fitted a light unit to our bedroom and didn't have the problem because it's got multiple bulbs. So that's the problem with the flickering. You just need to put an ordinary bulb in because they can't handle the low resistance. The locking issue, no resolution to that really. It is what it is. But if you lock in the off position, if the light's in the off position and you lock it, the light will stay on for approximately 5 minutes, then switch off. So it's a kind of a lock, except for the fact you can turn it on, but it does then time out and turns off when it's in that position, so it won't let you keep the light on. So it has some uses, I suppose, but we want it to lock like it describes it in an exact same way as it does the opposite way when you can lock it on. But yeah, locking it in the off position, it will actually turn off after an amount of time. Right, this is the radiator valve, which I have already fitted, but again, it's really, really easy to fit. This is the old valve that we had on it. It's got a number 1 to 5. It threads on. There are different radiators, it explains that in instructions, but this has got a plastic collar down here. And if I show you now, it's as simple as that. It's got a motor inside it, and it's got a pin that pushes this pin down, and it adjusts it up and down all the time, and it just directly replaces this one. So that just, you can swap them over whenever you want basically. That just comes off, and then this just goes on. So it's really, really easy to put it where you want. In fact, you can almost do it one-handed. Maybe not quite. Yeah, you can do it one-handed, position where you want, and then that just screws on. And then once that's in place, you put batteries in it, which I've taken one out just for the purpose of this video, AA's, and then you push them in, and then it goes off and does calibration. If I can actually get this on. So you shouldn't put the batteries in before you screw this down, by the way. But anyway, so now it's calibrating. The pin's going down, it's going up. Work out where the upper is and then where the lower is. And it does that calibration. Take up to a minute, and it's actually got. Is it done? I thought it was going to error for a minute. It will error if you've tightened it down too much, or the pin's the wrong length, or you've got the wrong type of fitting, or it's not fitted properly. You'll get an error there, which I've never actually got before. Simple as that, really. It does its calibration, job done. What we did have a big problem was with the linking. So when it's calibrated, which is still doing, and hopefully it'll finish by the time I finish speaking, it's done, and you press the link button, and obviously within the application you want to then link up, just like you do with the light switches, which is press and hold them and it goes into link mode, and you press a button saying link after you've said add device. You've named it and chosen the type of device it is, run through all that and say link, you press link, and it automatically connects, no problem. With the radiator valve, you do exactly the same process and it doesn't work. The following clip will explain to you how and why that is the case and how to get around that problem. I contacted support and they never got back to me, so I had to work it out myself, and it took a couple of days to catch on to exactly how to make these link up. Right, if you're wondering how to link up your radiator valve, like I have been for quite a while, I found a workaround to it, or it might even be the way to do it. So here's the rooms, and there's this drop-out menu on the left, and try to do a tour. Drop-out menu on the left. You then choose heating, which is here, so nothing to do with the rooms, but you just press on heating and skip tour, and then you've got a plus at the top here, so heating devices, and you can then add a heating device, and you choose the room which is in, so say our bedroom for instance, and then you say next, and then it asks you to link that device. Once you've linked that device, which I'm not going to do now because I haven't got one to link, then you can go back to your rooms. So go to rooms, and then so if we went to our bedroom, you could then say add a heating device, and you scroll around heating device, and then it will link up okay. What we did, it went completely wrong, is we started in the room like you do with the light switches and every other component. Start in that room and say add, and then you choose heating device, but just wouldn't link, would not work. It just says failed, 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 failed over and over again for days. But then if you do it the other way around by going to that top of that menu here and going to the heating section, adding it to that section, then when you go to the room you can then add it. Hope that helps you. Now then, the radiator valve is a great concept. It's a great idea. It's just way too noisy, and we've decided to return them because we were getting woken up 6 o'clock in the morning, and this morning final it just did my head in. 10 to 5, so 4:50 in the morning, it's going, it stops, 60 seconds later, and it goes on, and you think it'll stop in a minute. Half an hour went by of doing that, and it's not even scheduled to come on. So you can set, it's brilliant because it's essentially climate control in your house per room, which is awesome. It's like getting a car with climate control, not just air conditioning or heating, you know. You set the temperature on the app, you say I want it to be 20 degrees or I want it to be 18 degrees, and it will keep it at 18 by adjusting slightly whilst the heating's on. And that is brilliant. Our bedroom has been a perfect temperature since installing that heating valve. And my office, exactly the same. Where I'm sat now, it's a small room, and it gets boiling with the heating on, and you can't ever get it quite right. Whereas with the valve, it's been brilliant. It's been blissful. You put it on, you say I want it to be 18. It's 18. But it's just so noisy. It's such a shame. It's noisy, which you could put up with if it's tiny little adjustments whilst the heating was on, but it just seems so sporadic. It's coming on at times when it's actually scheduled to be completely off. We've got it set up 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock every morning. And then from 5 o'clock it's on till 10 o'clock, just in case the heating's on at that time. But it's coming on outside those hours, and it sounds like it's doing a calibration, and it's just on and on and on and on and on, and it's just ridiculous. You know, if you couldn't hear it, it wouldn't matter what it was doing, but it's just so loud. It's so loud that it'll wake you up. So the idea of these valves, and the only reason it's in our room and in my office, is to test it before we put it into the children's rooms. Because one of the things is, if you've got kids and you're downstairs, our living room gets quite cold. Upstairs, you don't want to turn the heating off, but you also want to make sure that when they're asleep, you're not overheating their room. Because we've gone in there a couple of times, and it's boiling. And we just had to turn it off because it's too dangerous, kind of thing. Well, with these, they just wake the kids up. So there's no way we can put them in the kids' room. And they're £45 each. So, yeah, 90 quid refund coming my way. I'm going to take them back to Maplin's where I got them from. Still got the boxes. Always keep your boxes. Kept the boxes. Going to take them back and get a refund for them. It's a shame. I really don't want to take them back. I love the idea. And it does work really well, except from all these massive shortfalls, the sound and the fact, I suppose the same thing kind of, it comes on when it likes. It's why it's doing something. I don't know what it's doing. It sounds like it's calibrating, but it just sporadically comes on. And at 10 to 5 in the morning, it's not when you want it, really. Such a shame. I'm hoping there'll be like a generation 2 that comes out and that's spot on and works really well. So it's the only massive fail I've had with this whole system are those valves. Great idea, but a big fail at the moment. That is one annoying thing about this. It's, what's the time now? It's 10:34 p.m. This is not even on. It's off. It's not within its program schedule. It's finished at 10 o'clock. Runs from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and it's back on at 7:50 in the morning. But despite that, it keeps doing that, turning on, whirring away really loudly, and then turning off again. So it whirs for what you just saw, about 3-4 seconds. It's been waking me up for the last, well, since it's installed. Since it's been installed, it has been waking me up in the middle of the night, so about 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. As the time I hear it, it might do it more. It seems to wake me up. There you go. No idea what it's doing. It's very, very annoying. Actually displays the off button. I don't know. It's really loud though, so I'm going to have to remove this valve, I think. It's such a shame. I think I have to remove it and either put it in the cupboard or take it back to the shop unless I can get an answer from support. I hope this has been an informative video for you guys. People thinking of getting it and fitting it. I've had the kit. I would highly recommend it. The only thing that seems to be a bit of a waste of money and it is expensive is the radiator valve at this present time. If you're in a warehouse environment or a noisy environment, it isn't going to bother you, the heating valve. But if you're trying to sleep, it will bother you. Don't get it. I just do not recommend it at all. It's just way too noisy. It's a shame. Hopefully they come up with a quieter version, bar putting massive amounts of foam around it and trying to block it out, which it won't work as a thermostat. Then yeah, don't buy that if you can help it. You can go and try it and then find out it's bad and take it back for your own benefit. But yeah, everything else seems to work really, really well. There's other accessories on top that you can get. Detectors you can put on the window. When you open the window, it knows the window's open, so if you have got the radiator valve, it will shut the valve off to make it 0, because obviously the window's open, pointless having the heater on. That helps with intruders and stuff like that as well. That same sensor, you can get curtain things, or you can get motors or parts of motor or actuator arms or something. You can get loads of additions. They go on and on and on. So yeah, we've basically done the whole inside of our house now. The only thing they haven't got is a pull switch on the same design basically as a pull switch, so you haven't actually got one of those, but I've seen people trying to make workarounds, which you possibly can. Too complex for me. I just want to unwire it and wire it straight back in. Plug and play. Highly recommend it. It is a brilliant thing. You can have multiple designs of the face here on the sockets. I've gone for stainless steel or whatever it is, brushed stainless steel, because I think it looks quite nice. Hope that's helped. Please like and subscribe. It's taken quite a while to put this video together and edit it and render it and upload it, so it'd be great if you could like and subscribe and support. Cheers guys. Next gadget review could be on anything whatsoever, because I'm just completely mad.